Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're launching into a deep dive on a world that is, just a world of unbelievable beauty and at the same time breathtaking peril. We're talking about Pandora.
It's the perfect setup for a deep dive, really, because you've got these stakes that are immediately established. It's all based on, individual desperation on one hand and just pure corporate greed on the other.
Right.
Jake Sully isn't some intrepid explorer setting out for glory.
No, not at all.
He's a paralyzed Marine dropout. And our whole mission here is to really understand the forces at play, the biological ones, the economic ones, that turned this disabled vet into this unlikely pivot point for the survival of an entire civilization.
And his entry point is so stark. We meet Jake not as this heroic Marine, but as a man just haunted by what he calls a big hole blown through the middle of my life.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about these recurring dreams of flying, which must be agonizing only to wake up and, he's still staring at his own useless legs. The sheer financial desperation is really key here, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The documents we have are clear. He couldn't afford the spinal repair he needed on his vet benefits, not in that future economy.
Right.
So when this contract comes up, light years away, it's not about adventure for him. It's pure necessity. And even then, the chance he gets is a complete fluke.
A total fluke.
He only gets the job because his twin brother, Tommy, the scientist, the one with the PhD, he died. Jake is only there because he shares the identical genome that they need for the Avatar program.
And that journey itself, it's an incredible commitment. 5 years, 9 months, and 22 days in cryo-sleep.
Just to take over his twin science contract.
Yeah. It's a huge chunk of his life, but he still sees himself as just another dumb grunt heading off into the unknown.
And that unknown, well, it makes itself known the second he arrives at Hell's Gate. The very first command you hear is exopacks on.
Immediately.
The sources just underline the immediate hostility of the environment. The air itself is toxic to humans.
Yeah.
You lose that mask, you are unconscious in 20 seconds, and you're dead in 4 minutes.
So this isn't some subtle, creeping danger. It's existential from the first breath.
Exactly.
And that really sets the tone for Colonel Quaritch's legendary safety brief.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a friendly welcome to a new world. It's a declaration of war on the entire ecosystem.
He's not shy about it at all. He paints Pandora as just the definition of hostility. He says, and this is a direct quote, "If there is a hell, you might want to go there for some R&R after a tour on Pandora."
Wow.
He says every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you. But the most crucial detail he gives is about the indigenous population, the Na'vi.
And we learned they're these indigenous humanoids. They're tall, they're strong, and they're fond of arrows dipped in a neurotoxin that'll stop your heart in 1 minute.
Right.
But the thing that makes them so physically formidable is a detail that I think a lot of people miss.
It's their structure, their biology. Their bones are reinforced with naturally occurring carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber, yeah.
Quaritch really emphasizes this. He says they are very hard to kill. And this isn't just some, random evolutionary quirk. It speaks to the environment of Pandora high gravity, high predation. The Na'vis aren't just, savages with bows. They are physically evolved to survive a world that would literally crush or poison an unarmored human in minutes.
That structural advantage, it just instantly raises them to the level of a formidable opponent, or at least it should.
It should.
But right away, you see the conflicting agendas at Hell's Gate. You've got the Avatar program, which is Grace Augustine's science team.
And then you have the RDA, the relentless, resource-driven military and corporate machine.
Yeah.
And the science and the exploitation, they're completely tangled up. The Avatar program is built around these incredibly sophisticated remote-controlled bodies. They're grown from human DNA mixed with Na'vi DNA.
Which is why Jake's genetics are so important.
Exactly. The driver's nervous system has to be in tune to link with the Avatar body. That's why they needed an identical twin.
So the science is incredibly precise. It requires this perfect genetic match. The expense must be just astronomical.
Insane. And Jake is basically the cheap hire to drive this insanely expensive piece of tech.
Right.
Grace Augustine, the woman who literally wrote the book on Pandoran botany.
Yeah.
She runs the science, but she's funded by the corporation. And the corporation sees her program as, at best, a necessary inconvenience.
It's a built-in conflict from day one.
A fundamental conflict of values.
Oh.
And Jake is now the conduit for both of those worlds, which brings us right to the terrifying why behind this whole operation, the resource war.
And the driver of this whole conflict isn't ideology, it's not even territory. It is pure, unadulterated profit, all from a little gray rock.
The unobtainium imperative.
Yes.
This is the financial bedrock of the entire mission. Parker Selfridge, he's the head of the RDA operation, he spells it out for all the new arrivals.
He's not subtle about it.
Not at all. He just says unobtainium because this little gray rock sells for $20 million a kilo. That's the only reason.
Yeah. $20 million a kilo.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just pause on that number.
Yeah, you really do.
A valuation like that doesn't just fund the science, it justifies everything. The entire multi-billion-dollar intergalactic operation, the cryosleep, the weapons, Hell's Gate, the Avatar program.
It makes the vastness of space seem small because the prize is that big. It's the ultimate MacGuffin that's holding up this entire corporate military-industrial complex. And Selfridge is crystal clear about the corporate goal. The Navis are threatening our whole operation by existing on top of the richest deposit. So the mission is to find a diplomatic solution or remove them.
And there's no middle ground.
No middle ground at all.
His idea of diplomacy is so cynical, too. He talks about winning hearts and minds, building schools, teaching English.
But then he immediately undercuts it.
Yeah, he admits that relations are actually getting worse because of the machine guns and the heavy-handed military presence.
It's corporate theater. It's PR. Selfridge knows the Navi don't want human schools or trinkets. The sources highlight his real motivation when he says shareholders hate one thing more than bad press. And that's a bad quarterly statement.
The bottom line.
The bottom line mandates that the Navi have to go. Any attempt at diplomacy is just to manage the news cycle back on Earth.
And this profit above all else imperative is what gives Colonel Quaritch his opening to manipulate Jake.
Absolutely. Quaritch is the embodiment of the ruthlessness that the RDA requires.
He has this deep, almost romantic attachment to the danger of Pandora, even after he was injured there.
Yeah, he says the scar he carries reminds me every day what's waiting out there. He sees Pandora as a worthy adversary, something to be conquered.
And he preys on Jake's deepest vulnerability. He promises him his real legs back, a permanent spinal repair, if Jake delivers the intel he needs.
That promise, for Jake, the paralyzed Marine, it's the ultimate form of seduction. He's being offered a return to his whole self.
It's everything.
And that's the foundation of Jake's double mission. So on paper, he's assigned to Grace's science team. Learn the language, learn the botany.
But his real orders come from Quaritch.
His real orders are to learn about the savages from the inside, to give the military the intel they need to either force their cooperation or hammer them hard if they won't.
And the target, there is zero ambiguity about the RDA's intentions. The spiritual heart of the Navi people, their home tree, sits directly on the richest unobtainium deposit within 200 clicks.
It just sets up this inevitable tragedy. The Navi's most sacred site is the very thing the humans need most desperately. Jake gets 3 months to gather intel and convince them to leave, but the expectation is clear. The bulldozers are coming. The military option is ready to go.
So Jake's mission is set. His loyalties are supposedly clear, but then we get to his first link. And that moment, it just instantly shatters his whole perspective.
Yeah, it shifts the stakes from, financial to existential for him.
Totally.
The description of the link process is amazing. You hear them monitoring the connection, phase lock 99%, link is stable.
And Jake, this man who hasn't felt his own legs in years, he experiences this immediate sensory overload. It's pure euphoria.
His first words in the Avatar body are just pure, unadulterated joy. I'm wiggling my toes.
It's the ultimate liberation. He's suddenly tall, strong, mobile again, and he is so overwhelmed by this new body that he ignores all protocol, all that expensive training, and he just bolts.
He runs right out of the lab.
He's just gone.
He's running free for the first time in years. And it's this instant primal connection to the Avatar form, which is, of course, to the absolute horror of Dr. Grace Augustine.
Right. Grace is this legend. She's the head of the whole program. And to her, Jake is just a catastrophic mistake.
She needed the PhD. She needed the scientist who trained for years for this.
Instead, she gets the jarhead dropout, who she immediately calls a skooing, a moron in the Navi language. Her disdain is just palpable. And, it's understandable.
Yeah. So Jake is immediately thrown into the deep end. He goes on a science sortie with Grace and Norm, the other Avatar driver.
They're flying out from Hell's Gate on a Samson gunship, piloted by Trudy Chacon.
And the fact that a science team needs a door gunner, a role Jake instantly volunteers for, that just underscores the reality that they are studying a world that is actively trying to kill them.
The danger escalates so fast. They start out observing these non-aggressive six-limbed creatures, the Prolomeris, just cataloging the ecosystem.
And then the calm is just shattered by the arrival of the Thanator. This thing is massive, armored, a six-legged beast with a black hide, these immense jaws. It is the absolute epitome of Pandora's hostility.
And when it shows up, Norm, the trained scientist, he tries to follow protocol.
Right, he says, it's a territorial threat display. Do not run, or he'll charge.
And Jake, operating on pure marine instinct, that grunt training, he does the exact opposite of what the science says to do. He stands his ground.
He tries to make himself look big, and he engages in this primal challenge, like, what you got? Oh yeah, who's bad?
Which might work against a person, but...
It is a completely disastrous strategy against a Thanator.
Yeah.
It charges, forces Jake to flee, and he gets separated from his team deep in this bioluminescent forest at night.
A nearly fatal night op. The environment itself becomes the enemy. It's this glowing labyrinth of hostile plants and animals.
And Trudy, the pilot, she's bound by Quaritch's strict rules, no night ops. She has to leave him behind. He is alone in what they call the most hostile environment known to man.
And that failure of his military instinct, trying to intimidate a planet, that's what forces the encounter that completely changes his life.
It leads him directly to the Almighty Kaya and to Neytiri.
Right. His deep trouble brings Neytiri to him. She saves his life, but her first action after killing these two attacking viper wolves is profound moral judgment.
It is. She kills them to protect this dreamwalker, but she immediately expresses grief. She holds the dying creatures and says, "Don't thank. You don't thank for this. This is sad. Very sad only."
That sorrow is such a violent contrast to the human utilitarian view of life. She blames Jake directly for their deaths. They did not need to die.
It's a foundational philosophical difference right there.
Yeah.
For the humans, survival is the goal, and Pandora is a resource pool. For the Na'vi, every life is part of the system, and killing is a sad necessity, never a cause for celebration. And Neytiri, she initially just rejects him completely. She calls him ignorant, a sky person who cannot learn, you do not see.
She is literally about to leave him there to die in the jungle.
But the situation is overridden by this indisputable spiritual sign. The seeds of the sacred tree, which are described as very pure spirits, they land all over Jake's avatar body.
It's such a powerful moment. It's like the forest itself is intervening, signaling that there's something important about him.
Precisely, and that's what gets him brought before the clan leaders at Home Tree. Etukan, the clan leader, and Moat, who's the psychic, the spiritual leader, who interprets the will of Eywa.
And Jake, standing in this incredibly sacred place, can only fall back on his old identity. He introduces himself, absurdly, as a warrior of the Jarhead clan.
And despite how ridiculous that sounds, Moat recognizes the sign from Eywa. She rules that because he is the first warrior dreamwalker, he has to be taught their ways.
And Neytiri is tasked with teaching him. Essentially, she's told to cure his insanity.
Yeah, it's an incredibly reluctant apprenticeship.
And this is where we really learn the depth of the Na'vi greeting, "I see you."
Right.
It's not just a formality. Neytiri explains it means, "I see into you. I see you." It's about a deep, empathetic connection, understanding someone's spirit.
It's the absolute antithesis of how the RDA sees the Na'vi.
Just obstacles.
They see targets and deposits. The Na'vi see spirit in connection. And this spiritual grounding defines their whole culture, which amazingly ends up getting scientific validation.
Which brings us to this deepening immersion and the science of Eywa. This is where the deep dive gets really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Grace Augustine, the brilliant scientist, she finally gets access to the village, and she starts studying the physical basis for this spiritual network. The Na'vi deity, Eywa, it isn't just mythology. It's a demonstrable biological reality.
This is one of those crucial scientific revelations in the source material. Grace starts documenting what she calls electrochemical communication between the roots of the trees, like the synapses between neurons.
She's observing a global nervous system.
A planetary brain. And let's just break down the sheer scale of this network, because the numbers are just staggering.
They really are. Grace reports that each tree has about 10,000 connections. That's 10 to the 4th power.
Right. And Pandora, the entire moon, has an estimated 1 quadrillion trees globally. That's 10 to the 15th power.
So when you multiply those two together,
the resulting network has orders of magnitude more connections than the human brain.
That's profound. For context, the human brain has around 100 trillion synapses. That's 10 to the 14th power. The Pandora network is 1 million times larger. It's a living supercomputer.
And it completely validates the Na'vi belief system. It explains how they can access their deity at sacred sites, like the Tree of Souls, to upload and download data, memories.
Their entire history, their philosophy, their lives are physically stored in the ground beneath them.
Their deity is the network. It's a system working to maintain the planet's equilibrium.
And this scientific proof, it directly underpins the Na'vi philosophy that Jake is learning. The whole concept that all energy is only borrowed and one day you have to give it back.
Right. When life ends, its energy returns to Eywa to nourish the balance. It's the ultimate closed-loop ecological system.
Which fundamentally rejects the human idea of just taking and hoarding wealth, like unobtainium.
It creates this almost spiritual incompatibility with the RDA. Humanity is there to extract temporary material wealth, while the Na'vi exists to maintain a permanent, interconnected living wealth.
And while he's absorbing all this profound knowledge, Jake is also going through this intense warrior training.
Yeah, his life is just constant high-stakes immersion. He even says with Neytiri, it's learn fast or die. Yeah.
The ultimate test for a young hunter, a Turonyu, is forging the bond, the Shahailu, with an Ikbron, the winged predator they call a banshee.
And this isn't like taming a pet. This is a lifelong partnership.
The specificity of the bond is critical, right? The Ikran will fly with only one hunter in the whole life.
And the bonding ritual itself is terrifying. Jake has to choose his Ikran, and it has to choose him back, and the choice is confirmed when, as Neytiri warns him, he will try to kill you.
It's the ultimate trial by fire.
And Jake succeeds. He feels this incredible exhilaration, a sense of belonging. He realizes, I was born to do this. He's finally moving away from that dumb grunt identity and into a true warrior identity, defined by his partnership with the natural world.
And their training also takes them to these tactical secrets of Pandora. They're often flying high into the Hallelujah Mountains, the legendary floating peaks.
We should probably tie the science back in here because the floating is important.
Right.
They're lifted by this incredibly intense electromagnetic field, which is generated by the vast deposits of unobtainium below them.
So unobtainium isn't just a valuable rock.
No, it's a room-temperature superconductor, and that property creates a powerful magnetic repulsion, a Meissner effect, that lets the rocks levitate.
And that super intense magnetic field is what creates what the humans call the flux vortex.
Exactly. The flux vortex is this zone of electromagnetic interference that makes all of the RDA's missile tracking and instrumentation fail.
They have to fly VFR visual flight rules only.
Right. This technical limitation, which is born from the very resource they're trying to mine, later becomes this critical tactical advantage for the Na'vi. It's a natural sanctuary.
So as Jake masters the hunter's path and learns the secrets of the forest, his internal conflict just reaches a fever pitch. He's not really Jake Sully, the paralyzed Marine, anymore.
No, he's becoming Jake Sully, the Na'vi warrior. He logs it in his video diary. He says, everything is backwards now. Like out there is the true world and in here is the dream. I don't know who I am anymore.
It's a full-blown identity crisis, and it's rooted in this profound moral alignment he's feeling with Pandora. He knows he can't betray this new world.
His commitment culminates in the final stage of becoming a man, the ceremony where he becomes a son of the Omaticaya. He earns the right to make his own vow and, crucially, to choose a mate.
And he chooses Neytiri. The sources say they are mated for life before Eywa.
And this complete integration into the Omatikai people, it should have been the moment he delivered the final intel for Quaritch. But instead, it just seals his fate as a traitor in the eyes of the RDA.
This complete shift just sets the stage for the explosive confrontation, the breaking point. Jake stops providing his video logs, and Quaritch knows he's been compromised.
So Quaritch launches the assault and orchestrates the exposure. During this tense confrontation at Home Tree, where Jake is trying to warn the Na'vi, the RDA forces just violently disconnect him from his avatar body.
It's a brutal physical trauma. It reveals his human form to the entire clan, exposing him as a demon in a false body.
His cover is blown. His identity as a Sky Person infiltrator is now undeniable.
He attempts this desperate confession. He reveals he was sent to learn their ways so they would trust his final message, but he admits he fell in love with the forest, the people, with Neytiri.
He chose his new identity over his original mission.
And the clan's reaction is immediate, and it is unforgiving. Sute, who is next in line to be clan leader, is enraged. He denounces him with the ultimate rejection. You are not my brother.
Jake and Grace are bound and rejected by the Omaticaya.
While Jake is being held captive, the corporate side is busy justifying its decision to attack. Selfridge just dismisses Grace's desperate pleas to explain the biological significance of home tree.
He literally throws his hands up at the idea of sacred sites. He says, you throw a stick in the air around here, it's going to land on some sacred fern. They're just goddamn trees.
Just goddamn trees. The vast, conscious network of the entire planet reduced to timber and a financial roadblock.
The sources show the cold corporate calculus. A diplomatic deal is impossible, so the only option left is removal. Selfridge just brings it back to the money, saying they have to avoid a bad quarterly statement.
The planet's spiritual richness just can't compete with the stock price.
And Quaritch's assault plan, it's designed for maximum psychological trauma. He plans to use humane gas rounds first, but if they resist, he immediately switches to incendiaries and high-explosive missiles to blast a crater in their racial memory.
It's a planned act of cultural annihilation disguised as a military op.
The attack is swift. It's devastating. Trudy Chacon, the pilot, she objects so vehemently. She just says, I didn't sign up for this shit. It's a clear line in the sand for the humans who still have a conscience.
And Home Tree, this central dwelling that houses hundreds of Na'vi, it's targeted with HE rounds at its base columns. It's brought down so quickly, signifying the end of the Omaticaya as they knew them.
Chacon, the plan leader, is killed in the destruction.
The emotional weight of that moment is just immense. Jake watches his new world crumble around him. Neytiri, overwhelmed by grief and betrayal, she directs all her fury at him.
Get away! Get away from here! Never come back!
Yeah. He's stripped of his human mission and his Na'vi identity in one fell swoop. A true outcast. He's dragged back to the RDA base where Quaritch mocks him.
Asks if he forgot what team you're playing for.
And Jake understands the harsh reality of his failure. He says he was a warrior who dreamed he could bring peace. Sooner or later, though, you always have to wake up.
In that moment of clarity, that's what fuels the dramatic shift into the reckoning. Jake, Grace, and Norm are jailed for treason. But the decent humans, Trudy and Max, the tech guy, they break him out.
They know the RDA has gone too far.
But Grace is shot and badly wounded during the escape.
They flee north, heading for the sanctuary of the Tree of Souls, deep inside the Flex Vortex where human tracking is impossible. But with Grace dying and the Na'vi scattered and hating him, Jake realizes he needs more than just a strategic advantage.
He needs spiritual legitimacy. He needs to unite the clans.
He has to regain their trust, and his solution is not just reckless, it's mythological. He attempts what he calls the one insane move.
Bonding with the great Leonopteryx.
Get.
Turuk. Last Shadow.
The name itself tells you how impossible the task is. Turuk is the apex aerial predator, the baddest cat in the sky.
And bonding with it has only happened 5 times in Na'vi oral history since the first songs. It's an act of pure desperation and ultimate commitment.
But Jake approaches it with this strange mix of Na'vi spiritual understanding and, marine tactical logic.
Yeah, you reason nothing attacks him, so why would he ever look up? And he pulls it off. He forges the Shahailu with Turuk.
His return is the ultimate redemption arc. He descends as Turuk Makto, the writer of Last Shadow.
And he gains immediate, unquestioning allegiance from the surviving Na'vi. Even Suti, who swallows his pride and declares, Turuk Makto, I will fly with you.
The legendary warrior they needed for this time of great sorrow has returned.
And their first, heartbreaking task is trying to save Grace. They use the Tree of Souls, the Utreya Mokri, to try and transfer her consciousness permanently into her avatar body.
But her human body's wounds are too great. The transfer fails.
Jake watches her pass, but not before she confirms the truth he's been searching for. She says, I'm with her, Jake. She's real.
Moet confirms the loss. She is with Eywa now.
This profound loss is immediately followed by Jake's desperate plea for the deity's help in the war. He asks Eywa, this global consciousness, to intervene.
And the response he gets is maybe the most critical philosophical statement in this entire deep dive. Moet relays the spiritual law. Our great mother does not take sides, Jake. She protects only the balance of life.
It's such a crucial distinction. Eywa is not some omnipotent goddess who grants wishes or picks a favorite team. Eywa is the ecosystem's homeostasis mechanism.
The Na'vi have to fight for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if they put their lives on the line for the survival of the system might just react to protect itself.
And that clarity allows Jake, now as Turuk Makto, to lead the charge. He calls on the other clans, over 2,000 warriors from 15 clans, uniting them to show the Sky People that they cannot take whatever they want.
And the final battle strategy relies heavily on the geological advantage of the Flux Vortex. By drawing the fight into those magnetic mountains, the RDA's advanced missile tracking is negated.
It forces them into line-of-sight firing. which gives the Na'vi a crucial home field advantage.
The battle is fierce. It's high-tech military firepower against primal, unified warrior skill. And you see these heroic sacrifices.
Trudy sacrifices her Samson gunship to take out a shuttle bomber full of explosives.
Tsudi is killed leading the ground attack. The Na'vi are nearly overwhelmed.
They're on the brink of catastrophic defeat.
And that's when the philosophical truth of Eywa manifests. When all hope seems lost, Eywa intervenes, not by taking a side, but by protecting the balance of life itself.
The planetary network acts as its own antibody.
The massive wildlife of Pandora, the hammerheads, the thanators, the viper wolves, they suddenly turn and attack the invading soldiers.
And Neytiri realizes what's happening. Eywa has heard you.
It's the ultimate validation of their entire philosophy. They fought for the balance, and the balance fought back. Quaritch, seeing the natural world turn on him, he pilots this massive AMP suit, a mechanized tank.
And he goes directly for Jake. He's trying to destroy the Link Shack and kill Jake's human body.
His goal is just pure annihilation, rooted in his resentment. And his final words to Jake highlight the central identity crisis of the story.
How's it feel to betray your own race? You think you're one of them. Time to wake up.
He wants to force Jake back into his human, paralyzed reality.
But the confrontation is settled by Neytiri, who saves his human body, killing Quaritch with her bow. The military effort just collapses once their leader is dead and their machines are overwhelmed by the ecosystem.
Which brings us to the end. The dream made real. The conflict is resolved. For now.
The RDA is defeated, and the aliens are forced back to their dying world. Only a few humans who fought with the Na'vi are allowed to stay.
Trudy, Max, and Norm.
And the time of great sorrow was ending. Toruk Makto was no longer needed. Jake makes his final, ultimate commitment. He prepares his last video log, and he knows he will never return to that paralyzed body he arrived in.
The Omaticaya, using the Tree of Souls, they perform the ritual one last time, and this time it's successful. They transfer Jake's consciousness permanently into his avatar body.
He's fully integrated. He leaves his former limited life behind in what he now calls the dream world of the RDA base. It's a powerful metaphor for choosing your identity or belonging.
He chose the functional body, the living world, and the integrated consciousness of Pandora over the temporary material wealth promised by Earth. His physical liberation became his spiritual salvation. And that whole transformation, it leads us to the final provocative thought we need to explore here. We learn scientifically that Eywa, this planetary ecosystem, is a single global conscious network with more connections than the human brain.
And that just fundamentally redefines the conflict. If a planet is demonstrably a superior, unified, and self-regulating form of life and consciousness, what are we saying about ourselves when we choose to prioritize temporary material wealth, a $20 million a kilo rock over the permanent, interconnected, living intelligence of that planet?
It turns the resource war from just a simple land grab into a war against a form of superior intelligence. It forces you to ask, is human progress inherently self-destructive if it places economic quarterly statements above the planetary consciousness that sustains all life?
That's a concept that really changes how we understand resource scarcity and survival.
Something to keep turning over in your mind long after this deep dive is over.